12 meters. 11. 10.
Then they're right on us.
9 meters. Remember, short, controlled bursts. 8 meters. 7. 6.
Can't be, that's inside the room.
It's reading right, man, look.
This is the Chorus Explorer tile. It's a proprietary device that was found abandoned inside of a sensitive shipping container. I was reading into the product's marketing, and it seems like this thing is capable of providing real-time insights into the exact location, condition, and usage of physical goods, and enable end-to-end visibility into the lifetime of "oh my god, I don't really care." Aside from all that buzzword hype, it's really just a Bluetooth beacon, similar to an Apple AirTag. So in this case, the Chorus Explorer tile is designed to be deployed in logistics environments in order to monitor and track things. As it turns out, this hardware has gotten so cheap in recent years that manufacturers like Chorus are able to produce and provide these sensors to customers at low to no cost. This means if you're keen enough, you can take these landfill-destined insights and rapidly extend their end-to-end shelf life in order to deploy wasted corporate costs. So what is a Bluetooth beacon anyway? Bluetooth Low Energy, or BLE beacons, are usually small electronic devices that use an advertisement protocol to communicate with nearby devices such as smartphones. I have a rough idea on how these work, but I'm curious to know just how capable these little devices are. In theory, you can do all sorts of fancy things with a little bit of data and a lot of math. So are these things really being used to revolutionize logistics, or are they just another piece of e-waste? With the Nordic NRF Connect application on my smartphone, I can filter for this beacon's unique identifier and capture some of those advertisement packets that it's broadcasting. Thankfully, on the back of the device, you will notice a QR code and a string right above that. This is the unique identifier, or UID, for this beacon. So I'll stick this into the NRF Connect application as a filter and start to capture some of that advertisement data. Almost immediately, it starts to make zero sense. I think I'm going to have to dive into the Bluetooth core specification to figure out what I'm actually looking at here. The core specification of Bluetooth says that the first 2 bytes are the length and the data type. So let's break these out and then we can deal with what's left. For our first byte, we have the hex value of 13, which is 19 in decimal. And for the data type byte, we have 0xFF, which according to the spec sheet is manufacturer-specific data. The manufacturer-specific data type is used for manufacturer-specific data. The first 2 data octets shall contain a company identifier from assigned numbers. Cool, so let's chop off the first 2 octets and figure out who the manufacturer is. So our first 2 bytes are 00E0. Confusingly, the data in our advertising packet has its Indianness swapped. Not exactly sure what this is all about, but it helps add to the confusion, so. Initially, I thought this would reference the company that manufactured the device, but it actually references Google. So if the Bluetooth spec sheet tells me to refer to the manufacturer, then maybe Google knows a little bit more about this beacon. After a little bit of research, I came across this GitHub page detailing Google's open source Eddystone beacon protocol. This is probably what I'm looking for. So I read through this repo front to back a few times, and the remainder of the data still wasn't making very much sense, so I decided to do what I should have done from the very beginning. Open one up. Inside the device is a small PCB and a 3-volt lithium battery. On the board is the DFN8 packaged IN100 microcontroller manufactured by InPlay. According to the manufacturer, this microcontroller provides low-power Bluetooth capabilities and some analog-to-digital features for some connected sensors. Alongside that chip is a small crystal oscillator, likely used for keeping accurate time. Doing a little more digging on the web got me some documents for this device. Big shout out to InPlay for having a well-documented chip. Unfortunately for me, this chip can act as all sorts of Bluetooth low-energy beacons, such as Apple's iBeacon, Google's Eddystone, and even AltBeacon or a custom proprietary beacon format. If you recall earlier, this beacon showed up as a Google device in the NRF Connect app, so I'm inclined to believe that this is probably using the Eddystone protocol. Thankfully, Eddystone is a pretty open protocol, so I reviewed the implementation documents on GitHub, and I found some similarities with our beacon advertisement. The Eddystone spec then tells me what I'm probably looking at is the 16-byte Eddystone UID beacon, which is composed of a 10-byte namespace and a 6-byte instance. The first byte of our remaining data is 0f, which represents 15 in decimal, which aligns with the remaining length. The next byte is 19, which refers to an appearance data type. This isn't exactly in line with the spec that I read on GitHub for an Eddystone UID frame, but that's okay. Advertisement data follows length type value logic, which means that the length value represents the length of the data type and the value of that data. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward and dissect this data. I immediately see the 6-byte instance component because it's the same as the device ID that was printed on the device, albeit the Indianness is swapped a little bit. Now this is where things start to get a little more wonky as I delve into the land of proprietary code. Since this hardware is marketed as a tracking and logistics device, I decided to scour the documents looking for anything related to those marketable data points. Turns out there's a whole section inside the configuration guide that pertains to user-specified data. This is probably what we're looking for. I suppose that if we're going to use this beacon for logistics purposes, then we probably want to keep track of time somehow. Remember that crystal oscillator that you saw on the board earlier? That's likely important. After a bit of poking and prodding the splayed open beacon that was laying helplessly on my workbench, I noticed that the first 4 bytes of the remaining data had somehow become reset to all zeros. When comparing these 4 bytes to the 4 bytes on the still sealed tiles, I was able to tell that those 4 bytes were significantly larger when interpreted as an integer, and I could also determine that they were slowly incrementing. Thinking this was some sort of time value, I immediately went back to the documentation and started looking for anything that was related to time that would also fit in our 4 bytes. There were 3 types of user-specified data that caught my attention. We have a timestamp counted in milliseconds, a timestamp counted in seconds, or an advertisement count. So to test this, I wrote up some Python code that utilizes the Bleak library in order to listen to those advertisement packets and then manipulate the data in real time. After a little bit of setup code, I was able to pull those 4 bytes out of the advertisement packet and start interpreting it in various different ways. When I read those 4 bytes as an integer, I could clearly see the value increasing. Dividing this integer into milliseconds or seconds didn't seem to provide a useful value, so I'm more inclined to believe that this might actually be our advertisement count. To confirm even further, I pulled the power from the bench-tested beacon, and when I powered it back up, I noticed that those 4 bytes were indeed reset back to 0, and after a little bit, I noticed that they slowly incremented for every advertisement packet that was sent out. Cool, so that takes care of those 4 bytes, leaving me 3 bytes remaining of that 16-byte UID frame. According to Chorus, this device could be reporting its temperature, and I see a couple of these bytes changing, but I don't exactly see any patterns. The configuration document says that a temperature value will be represented as 2 bytes, so maybe that's stuffed somewhere in these 3 bytes? There's only one way to find out. So while I waited for my beacon to chill, I wrote some more Python code. And eventually, after a little back and forth, I concluded that the last 2 bytes are the temperature value, and when interpreted as an integer and multiplied by 0.01, you get the temperature in Celsius. As for what that lonely byte in the middle means, I still have no clue. Maybe it could be like a batch number, or it could be like a number of flags that get triggered during events. Who knows? Now, going back to my original question of how can these be used for logistics, I can start to answer that a little bit more. Now I can easily imagine a Bluetooth low-energy base station sitting at the entrance of a warehouse loading bay. Within a few minutes of a truck arriving, that base station will know exactly how long each tile has been powered and how many advertisements it's sent out. It will also know the relative temperature for each package tracked with the tile. Eventually, all this data makes its way to a server somewhere in order for a client to review and monitor. And think, with cellular connectivity, there's no reason why a base station can't exist inside of the trucks to provide real-time monitoring. Personally, I find it pretty fascinating that all this data is just kind of out there, floating around, completely invisible to anyone without the mind to see it. Or maybe it's just e-waste. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling. I hope you learned a thing or two and you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to support my work and to see more videos like this, please visit the links in the description below.